Hi everyone, welcome once again to Rebel Bases Dioramas. Today I'm going to have a look at this beautiful Vallejo colour set that I actually got for Christmas. Got some really nice bright colours in here. This is the medieval set. You can get this from the Vallejo website. I think this one actually came from Amazon, but you can get it from the Vallejo website. And I thought today we're just going to slap some of this colour onto one of these Stormtroopers. Got a nice blank canvas with the white armour. Got a couple of different troopers here, flame troopers, resistance troopers, and I've got this snow trooper here as well. So what I think we'll do is possibly split these up. I'm not 100% yet. I might use one helmet on another body. We've got, of course, the big bag of accessories. So we've got some weapons in here, we've got some bits and bobs that we can probably throw onto one of these guys as well. And we can use these beautiful colours just to really make that armour pop. So let's just move this out of the way a second. Let's move these paints and we'll have a look at these troopers. Now I really love this flame trooper, however we did use the backpack in a previous one, so I think we'll leave that for now. I do like the body on this one, but I'm not sure about the head, the helmet on this guy, so we'll just, oh, there we go. These are pretty easy to remove, just pop them straight off. I do like this helmet though on the snow trooper. I'm not 100% on these side skirt things. If they weren't as solid, I'd possibly go with this one. But I do like the helmet on this one. I kind of like the bucket style helmet, so we'll just squeeze that back on there. Now these go on pretty easily. However, if they are a bit loose, you might have to put a bit of clay in there or sticky tack or something just to hold it in place. Or if you don't want it to move, you can always just glue it down. I might take the shoulder panel off this guy, should I? Maybe, we'll have a see. We'll just pop this head back on this guy for later. As you can see, it is quite loose, so yeah, in the future I'm probably going to have to use a bit of glue or clay or some milliput maybe to hold that in place, but we're going to go with this guy. I really like this guy, because I like the pose as well, I like the way he's holding his arms. So I managed to find this gun in the big bag of bits. It's more like a sniper rifle, which I really like. So I think we might have this guy as like an assassin or something. And I found this hood. I think this might be Kylo Ren's hood, but it fits on really nicely, just like that. There we go. I think this will be a really nice model. I think we'll stick him on an urban landscape. Might colour that hood, not 100% yet, but yeah. Right, let's have a look at these colours again. Now, we've got some gorgeous colours in here, and I wasn't really sure what to go for, so I decided to let fate decide. Wow, indeed. Light green, which to be honest with you isn't that light, and royal purple, which I really like. I think that's a really nice colour. So we're going to see what we can do with this guy. I think we're going to go for purple for the main colour and green for the secondary colour. I may go with some stripes, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm probably just going to wing it like I normally do with these kind of things. Right, okay, so I've just popped the helmet off like I showed you in the beginning. It's pretty easy to pull these off. So we're going to go in with some purple on the sort of the bucket back bits here at the back. So yeah, I'm just going to see how this lays down. It should be, take one, maybe two coats. We're going to see how it is. There we go. So we did actually take two coats this. It's pretty thick paint, but I did two coats just to make sure. Put that to one side, and we can make a start on the body as well. Move his arms there, and I'm just going to paint this chest plate purple. There we go. This is going down really nicely. So I was a little ways into this, I was sort of doing okay with it, and then all of a sudden I had a brainwave. I've got purple, I've got green, why am I not doing this guy? Exactly, that's what we're going to do. Start again and do a Joker-inspired Stormtrooper. Okay, so let's start this again. I've washed all this paint off. It's water-based acrylic, so it's pretty easy to get off. And it hadn't completely dried yet either, so it's pretty easy to get off. I'm going to paint the back of the helmet green to represent the hair. I'm going to leave the chest piece here completely blank, and I'm going to do a nice red smile on the under half of this helmet to represent his mouth, his grin, the Joker grin. So we're going to start off with the legs. I'm going to do them in the royal purple colour. Again, I'm not sure how many coats this is going to take, but we'll see how we get on. There we go, so that's one coat done. As you can see, there is still a little bit of white poking through. And we've done the green, the buckets there of the helmet to represent the hair. I think we're going to do another layer of purple, but I'll do that off camera. I'm going to paint the boots brown. Just leave that little cuff around the outside as well to sort of represent the trousers, shall we say. There we go. And now we can put this red in here. It's a really rich red. We can put just, there we go, just along the bottom there, just to represent his smile. And there we have it. 2 coats of green on the helmet, 3 coats of purple, and the big grin there as well. I think that looks pretty good so far. I'm quite happy with how it's looking. Now the next thing I'm going to do is get these little X's. I'm going to put them on the chest. This is a transfer sheet. I'm going to put them on the chest here. I thought it'd be quite cool, quite Joker-esque. This is a transfer sheet from a really old Airfix model I was given. I'm going to put it on with micro-set. Now you can use water, but micro-set or micro-sol is much better for holding them in place. You only need a little bit, but make sure you've got a window open or you're in a well-ventilated area. It does have a tendency to smell quite a lot. I'm going to cut those out, put them in. I'm just going to use the tweezers. Now it did say to submerge them for 30 seconds. I've done it for a minute because it's a very old set. I'm just going to use our paintbrush here, put a little bit of the micro set onto the figure, excuse my hands. And then we can just leave that to dry. So I've put 3 of the X's on there. I think that was pretty good. Now the only thing is you can see the outside of the transfer paper because of how old the set was, but I'm not too fussed about that at the moment. We'll see how it turns out. He's looking a bit clean, so we're going to get him dirty. This is a set I picked up from a hardware store which had a tiny model section in the back. The box is absolutely battered, but the pigments inside are still nice and dry. I've looked it up online, you still can buy it in various places. So we're going to go with this mud green here. So the instructions say just to put a tiny bit of water in a bowl and then use the tiniest amount of pigment. I should imagine this is going to last me a very long time. There we go. I'm just going to mix it up to sort of like a thin pasty consistency. I'm not 100% on this one because I've never used it before, but we'll see what it looks like. I'm going to stick some in there, get it in all the nooks and crannies, and obviously we can wipe this off afterwards, and anything that remains will stay in all the grooves. Now I am a bit concerned about these transfers. I'm regretting putting them on now. I probably should have put them on after the weathering, but well, we'll see what happens. It's all experimentation, isn't it? So managed to cover the whole thing. Just dab this off, see what happens. It's actually looking really good. I'm really quite impressed with these pigments. There we go. As suspected, one of the X's has come off, but never mind, I've still got it. It's probably a combination of the water and me dabbing too hard. There we go, I've stuck that back on there. It's looking pretty good so far. I really quite like it. I'm very impressed. It's very in-universe, obviously nice and dirty. We're going to add to the weathering with our craft knife in, just scrape away a bit of this paint, show a bit more weathering, show a bit more battle damage. Find those sharp points on the armour, on the knee panel here. Just take a little bit of that off, down the side of the legs. And anywhere we think there might be a little bit of weathering needed. There he is. So let's just move this out of the way. Of course we're going to need a base to put this guy on. I've got this little wooden coaster here that came in the same set as I used last time. I think it's from the range. And I've got some sheets of cork as well. I've seen loads of creators before use cork for concrete and tarmac, asphalt, and I've got this straw which was from a reusable drinking bottle. So glued all that down, used Mod Podge and a big heavy book on top of it to glue it all down. That's pretty solid. And I'm just going to paint it black first to begin with, just to see how the paint takes. I'm going to cut this straw up into thirds. I'm going to squeeze that in there. Obviously there's no space at the moment, so I'm going to use my craft knife to cut a hole in this section here. So I've cut the hole, and I've also cut the straw up, pushed those in there, and I've got the pipes sticking out there as well. I think that's looking pretty good so far. There he is, nicely to scale. So the next thing I'm going to do, add a bit of rock, some rubble. We've got our Mod Podge here. Mod Podge is a really strong PVA glue. If you haven't used it before, it's really, really strong. It's very, very good glue. So I'll just put this in small areas to begin with. You don't want it to start drying, so just you work in small areas around the base. And then what we can do, we can come in with our larger rocks to begin with. There we go, and use these stones to represent stones. Just going to drop those in there. And this will all be painted up afterwards as well. So we've stuck all our big stones on, all our small stones. I'm just going to use this mixture. This is a 50-50 mix of Mod Podge and water. And I've just put it in one of my son's medicine pipettes. If you've ever bought Calpol in the UK, you get one of these with every single one, so don't worry, I'm not stealing my son's medical equipment. We've got a million of them in the house. So you just need to drop that on there, just let it bead up a little bit. There we go, and what it'll do, it'll run between the cracks of the stones, and it will just help everything stick down a lot better. So everything's completely dry. I've painted it all black again. Make sure you use acrylic paint to stick to anything plastic like the straws. And now we're going to dry brush. So I've got this dark grey. I've got a dry brush. And if you've never done this before, it's a very, very simple process. All you're going to do is get a little bit of paint on your brush, bit of kitchen roll, wipe the majority of it off, and then just brush lightly over the top of whatever texture you're painting, and the paint will pick out all the nice raised areas, and it will create a really, really nice texture. There we go, just keep going over and over again, depending on how dark or light you want it to be. I want this to be slightly exaggerated, so I'm going to do a few coats here. There we go, as you can see, it's just picking out the tops of the stones, of the rocks, of the cork. There we go. Now at the moment I'm not being too picky with this, because I'm going to put some pigment over the top of it. And just to bring it out even further, I've got this white here as well. As you can see, it looks pretty good with the grey. I'm just going to pick out some of the corners and the edges of the rocks and the tarmac as well. Like I say, I don't want it to have a completely realistic look. I want it to be a little bit exaggerated. So I'm just going to go and brush towards the edges, and as you can see, it's already picking up on those edges there. I'm just going to highlight it a lot more. There we go. I haven't touched the pipes yet. I'm going to do those silver with a bit of rust over the top of them. So it still looks a little flat at the moment, but like I say, we're going to add some more detail to it very soon. There we go. Again, just picking out those edges. Okay, so we're going to make good use of this silver that I got in the set. I'm just going to paint the pipes silver as well. So this is all completely dry now, and the next thing we're going to do is just dry brush the gun whilst I've got that silver out as well. There we go, very, very gently, just over the top. I painted it black to begin with, but just very gently over the top there to bring out the highlights. So these pipes look a little bit new, obviously, so I'm going to mix up a rust colour. I've got this paler brown to begin with, and I'm going to try and throw in some of this rust as well. It's with rust red. I'm not sure what this is going to do, but we can always just, like I say, experiment with it. So it's gone down pretty well. The pigment didn't do anything, it doesn't look very rusty at all, so I'm going to go in with this slightly darker red. This is black red, which is like a really dark scarlet basically. And I'm just going to get my brush here, and instead of brushing on, I'm going to dab it on like this. There we go, that's worked a lot better, looks a lot rustier now. And I think I might get some of that pigment as well and just drop that in there. So I'm just going to dab off a little bit of this excess. There we go, I did want a little bit of the silver showing through, but I think that works quite well for rust. I'm quite impressed with that. Like I say, I wanted to add some more texture to the concrete, so we're going to go back with our pigments. We've got the sand green and the mud green as well. Just going to pop some of that on here, see how it works. There we go, probably going a bit too much there, let's have a look. Yeah, it's probably a bit too heavy there. And it sticks really well actually. I wonder if I can just get a bit of water on here. Yeah, there we go. Actually, that's looking really good. I really like that, that's really good. And get rid of, just dilute it a bit really, I guess. I'm going to put some of this mud green on. This is the same green we used on the Trooper. Pop some of that in there. And there we go. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. As I said, probably gone a bit too overboard with areas of it, but I'm pretty happy with how that's gone. Looked great. So to add even more urban decay, I'm going to use this rubble, brown rubble, to represent bricks and rocks. This is a lot smaller, so I'm just going to sprinkle that on there. And then we've got this green flock. I've had this forever, but it works a treat. Just going to sprinkle that on, and then we're going to just go back to the syringe full of glue. Just squeeze that on there and let it dry. And this is the end result. I've put a few clumps of foliage in there from the box of foliage. Now all I've got to do, paint the edges black, add our Stormtrooper. I think we're done. Thanks again for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.